It's Thanksgiving week, and Walt Gregson kicks it off with another one of his stories about us, focused on Mississippi.
And Walt, yours isn't a Thanksgiving story, I understand, as such, but it is about Native Americans.
Yes, indeed. And, well, we wouldn't have had the original Thanksgiving without the Native Americans. However, this story is based way before the time of the Pilgrims, before the time of Columbus, for that matter, a time when one of the most advanced cultures in North America was thriving right here in Mississippi. Take a look.
We had magnificent cities here. This was probably the most populated area north of Mexico before the time of Columbus. So if you wanted to make something of yourself, this is where you came.
That's Mark Howell. He's the historian/director of the Winterville Indian Mound Complex north of Greenville up in the Delta. Now, when he refers to here, he doesn't mean Winterville exclusively, but to the area. 1,000 years ago, up until about 500 years ago, there was a sophisticated culture in the eastern United States, and particularly in the southeast, and we know it had to be sophisticated because of these, the myriad of mounds they left like these at Winterville. There would have to have been a complex social structure to free up enough people with enough time away from the constant necessities of finding food and building shelter to have the hundreds and hundreds of thousands of hours that it took to build these mounds. But then, about 500 years ago, the whole social order fell apart. What happened? Well, European explorers came here about then, for one thing.
We often blame the European explorers who showed up about the time of the demise of the last of the mound builders, which Winterville is a place that represents. But this civilization was already in decline.
A mini ice age set in around 1300 and shook confidence in the priest rulers who'd always been believed to be the providers of abundant crops. Well, when it got colder and the crops failed, society failed. And today we have the mounds, reminding us of where one of the most successful cultures ever in North America once had a settlement.
It's the biggest pre-Columbian site in Mississippi and one of the biggest in the United States. Vibrant civilization, vibrant city, dynamic place in what is now one of the most impoverished areas of the United States.
Things change. Times change. Nothing lasts forever, as evidenced at the Winterville Mound Complex north of Greenville.
Kind of sad.
Oh, it is sad. But, you know, that is a nice place that they have there. Now, Mark says they have the plaza and the mounds cleared to where they pretty much look like, well, he says it looks as close to what it would have looked like when it was occupied as it has been since it was occupied. They got all the trees cleared off and all that.
Yeah,
There's
I'd
a
like
museum there. Just pop in sometime when you're on Highway 1 up north of Greenville.
I'd like to, yeah. That's very interesting.
Thank you.
Certainly didn't know all that.
Good.
Good story.
I'm glad I could tell you something.
You always tell us something.
Okay.